Hey everyone, this is for my Patreon group, and I wanted to bring y'all actually a little bit of a different type of video, not contained to Bitcoin or crypto. This actually has to do with hard assets. We're going to be talking about silver in this video and why you shouldn't undermine silver, and why right now are probably some of the best times to get into the precious metals market. So we're going to go over the silver charts here in a little bit, but also I wanted to relay some data of why silver has always been on my mind. So what I have in front of me is a quick snippet of one of Cliff High's WebBot reports. So I've been a long-term, subscriber, but also follower of Cliff High. And I don't know if y'all are very familiar with him, but I encourage y'all to go look at his YouTube videos. I think he's only on YouTube right now. He was on Twitter, but I think that they shadow banned him, basically coming out about the truth about the CV virus. So what we have in front of us is a WebBot report, and I'm not going to go into too much detail on how all this works, but basically this was a program that he had written which scoured the web of analysis of people's words that they would use on a regular basis, but also a kind of summary of what they were kind of psychically leaking at the time too. So because I've been a long-term subscriber, I've had quite a few of his reports that he's put out ever since report 0, basically. I don't have all of them, but I have most of them. I think once he started to get into the bare naked wealth reports, they were a little bit pricey for me at the time, so I couldn't get them. Which is unfortunate because that was the time when he started to talk about the cryptocurrencies and what cryptos would be good to get into. But I did not make the purchases because I was being silly and I didn't have the funds for it. So, but now that I've combined all of these PDFs together from his original WebBot reports, which are quite a few different ones. I mean, I've combined all of them so I could search them easily. And I've recently just been told that to not forget about silver by one of my other paid groups that I'm in also. And I was like, oh yeah, for silver, let me look that up in the WebBot reports real quick. So I've collected some data for y'all that I can share with y'all, just some quick snippets of what I found in the WebBot report about silver and where we could be going with it later into the future, right? So we have here, this is our first snippet that I found, and it was, as the dollar death is indicated to proceed in parallel with the developing international crisis of fall, it also is indicated to produce bifurcated markets within most of the developed parts of the planet. The concept being described is gray/black markets and official markets. So the bifurcated markets is basically the the stock markets and everything, how it's kind of afloat on nothing pretty much with the international crisis. So the words that are in brackets are the words that are pulled out from the web, right? Further, the official markets will be examples of extreme bifurcation, as they will be exhibited both crushing deflation and the start of hyperinflation that is still being forecast as yielding normal prices of silver in the US dollar in excess of $600 per ounce. So this was maybe in 2010, but as we know, the WebBot doesn't actually pull out year dates. What was filled in here outside of the brackets is just his interpretation of what the data was saying, right? So it's kind of like fill in the blank of what you think the story is trying to tell with the words that are being pulled out from the web, right? With the WebBots. Further, the hyperinflation is being described as the curtailing of cheap energy that is used to heat homes in the north and cool in the south. This expectation from the hyperinflation component of the dollar death as global reserve currency within a newly arrived supporting aspects attributes is several multiples. So as we already know, let's pull out some of the data that we can see here that we already know what's kind of happening. We know the death of the dollar is inevitable, right? We know that the markets are basically held up on top of nothing, right? There is an international crisis that is developing right now as we are witnessing before our eyes, which also the WebBot went into mass detail about what this this crisis that is happening before our eyes, but what it actually was. And so we kind of knew about this, or Cliff High's followers also knew what this crisis was when it started to appear with the CV virus, also labeled as the sun disease, if y'all are subscribers or followers of Cliff High's work, right? So the extreme bearification of, the markets, hyperinflation of the markets, right? But yielding normal prices of silver, and then maybe the excess of the $600 per ounce, furthering the hyperinflation and death of the dollar. So this was just one snippet that we pulled out from the data. We're going to go into the next one. And so it says here, next snippet from one of the reports is, at the gold and silver precious metals dealer storehouse, this riot does not fall under the revolution meme and direct support through, though the motivating emotional tension is well supported by the crosslinks to termination points within the revolution metadata layer supporting sets. The details seem to be painting the picture of a panic by the elites over the obtaining their property back from out of storage. The rich riot is described as being visible within mainstream media, and also, ironically, to include press personalities who get caught up in the action. The rich riot is temporarily situation just slightly before the main purging of the paper debt currency markets. The data indicates the riots and mob unrest will become a regular news story as the currencies are shedded publicly, and a planetary rush panic to buy precious metals overwhelms the censors and the propaganda press. So we haven't really seen the press come out just yet about the panic to buy precious metals, but that's because it hasn't happened. We are hearing about it through alternative mainstream media, right? That we should be very aware of silver prices and gold prices. As of right now, there's still a lot of panic in the markets, but this is just a great buying opportunity. As many investors have quoted, buy when there's blood in the streets, right? So we are starting to see the panic to buy certain assets is happening, but not necessarily showing that in the markets as of right now. So let's continue here. It says that so we'll see something maybe in the propaganda press later on. The data indicates that our way earlier guess at an ultimate price for silver of $600 per ounce is still on track and gaining linguistic support by the minute. The data accrual patterns are in key support areas of the linguistic structure for gold and silver, specifically within the panic emotions expressed subset. So as we start to see the gold and silver linguistic structure, or as we start to hear about it a little bit more, maybe through the mainstream press, then the panic emotions expressed. As some of y'all know, it's actually harder to actually get to some of these gold and silver exchanges and purchase gold and silver. There's like a delay in shipping, as you know, for some reason. But I don't really, when I buy gold and silver, or if I decide to, which I am in accumulation of as of right now, I usually can find some really good prices on eBay. Right now there is a premium for the silver prices on eBay as well, but I would that's mostly where I bought most of my silver in the past too, is mainly through people on eBay, and it's always gone really well. Just make sure it's from a source that is going to package their packages up very well before you buy it. So even if you want to get in communication with them and let them know, hey, like, make sure it's packaged up very well, so that way there's no like shaking around or anything like that when people are moving it back and forth or in between the warehouses and such. So let's go into the next one too as well. And so we have, this work is a publication of the Alta reports, began in 1997 with the first data gathering operations. From that time until this very day, the data sets have always had a Dow over 20,000 values set in place. This set was discussed in radio interviews in the early 2000s, as there were other elements within these sets, including infamous silver to be over 600 an ounce statements made through these decades. One needs gasp how rare it is for actual numbers to make it through processing in order to appreciate the nature of $600 per ounce of silver. statement within the data that is held stable for over 14 years of these reports. These sets may not have had any growth for months at a time, yet when next resumed, the data sets still reinforce the link between $600 silver and $20,000 Dow. Both of these, and so the Dow's still up above 20,000 as of right now. I think it's sitting at about 23,000. So we're going to take a look at the charts here in a little bit to get on into further into this video, right? Both of the numbers were beyond strange and completely into the world of lunacy in the early 2000s. However, it is with some satisfaction that it is noted we are there now for the $20,000 Dow, as our work expresses. Once the temporal markers start to fall, can the rest of the sets be far behind? So because we are in that $20,000 Dow area, I would imagine that, ooh, there's a big fly right here in my face. Let me knock this fly out. Well, I'll just continue really quick, but I guess the fly wants to spy on me, I guess. I don't know, man. They over here tripping. I wonder if I can catch him. Anyways, yeah. So with that being said, y'all, this is bugging me. Hold on. I want to get him so bad. Okay. Anyways, whatever. So that was our 3 snippets from the Webbot report that we found about silver. Let's get on into the charts here really quick and see what they can tell us. So that was not the charts. Let's see. The charts are right here. So let's take a look at silver and see what we can see here. Actually, I wanted to look at the Dow to see exactly where the Dow might be located at as of right now as we're speaking. So if we come on in here, we can see that we are currently at $2,300 or $23,000. So last time we were at 20K, which was right about here, maybe in 2017, right in that area. We kind of bumped above, $20,000 in the Dow. So as of right now, we're still in that $20,000 Dow area with this big recent sell-off that has happened right now. But we're going to take a look at silver to see what might be happening there. The Dow is looking pretty crazy here on the 2-week. That money flow is looking really, really low right now too. So very interesting times. But let's go into gold and silver, and we're going to take a look at silver for right now. And we're actually looking at the 2-week here right now. I did want to move first from the weekly. We're not going to dive in too close on the time frames here. We're not going to get too zoomed in. We're just going to see it for what it is as of right now. Yeah. And so we can see here that money flow is, just the structure overall, it's kind of a flattened out pattern as we can see right now with this recent massive sell-off. But from our, when we had it at $50 silver, which was back in like 2011, we see that we've had a pretty big sell-off, but we kind of consolidated out here to the side. Right now we're sitting at about $15 silvers per ounce. But I think as we start to move up, even into like the 2-week pattern, we can see that our money flow is starting to round off on that 2-week pattern as well. And then what's really telling is our monthly time frame. And our monthly time frame really just gives us an idea of this bottoming out of where silver is at right now. We had our big green dot down here when silver was at about $13, $12 an ounce, which wasn't I remember hitting those numbers and I was like, oh crap, like, wow, that's pretty low, but we've had some nice little wicks down here to the bottom side, and who's to say that it can't go back to $12 an ounce? That is a very strong possibility. We are having a little bit of a sell-off as we speak right now, with our red dot being put in our monthly, indicating that we could have this blue wave come back down to the side. Oh my gosh, that fly is huge. Gosh, okay. And so sorry about this, y'all. Y'all just got to hang in there with me as we look over the charts. So I left the door open earlier to get in some fresh air, and then I guess some bugs decided to come in. So shame on me. Okay, but yeah, as you can see here, the we are starting to put that blue wave starting to come back down just a tad bit on us. But I would imagine that we'll the telling sign is our leading indicator, and our leading indicator is our money flow indicator. And being that there was a lot of money coming out of the market whenever we were in that $20 range of silver, and then now we can see that our money flow is starting to move back up to the top side. So what we're waiting for is this money flow to just start to move back into that greenish area, but also get closer to this pivot point, that zero pivot point. So I would say that we are in really good accumulation for the market right now, in that this will probably take place during this pandemic that we are having right now, and I do believe that it is silver should not be overlooked. But we do know that it could probably take a while, and this will be a longer term investment. So I've already planned some things out with my family to help get ready for this a little bit too. And I hope that y'all are doing the same thing and preparing for everything that may occur, and that y'all are keeping your friends and family safe and close together, but you're also making the right decisions when it comes to bettering your future. As most of y'all are already into crypto, which is a great outcome for the future of our lives too, as well. And we all know that the death of the dollar will happen. And so you will go further into some of these reports a little bit later, but I wanted to push this video out for y'all because it had been brought to my attention to not forget about silver. And I was like, oh yeah, silver, that's right. So I wanted to look at the Webbot reports, and that's what we have in there. So we're hearing about the hyperinflation. We're hearing about the markets being inflated from pretty much nothing. And so now it's basically, okay, we have our real assets and gold and silver and Bitcoin. And that's also that data is written inside of the Webbot reports too. So I plan to do a little bit more further digging into the Webbot reports that I have, and also present some more data to y'all to show that we are on the right track. We're making all the right decisions, and we're doing the right things for ourselves and for the future of our families too as well. So with that being said, y'all, thanks for tuning in to this Patreon post. I hope that y'all are having a good one out there, and I'll talk to y'all soon.